Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be all about cry-worthy books. Books that broke my heart, that actually made me tear up, if not completely lose it and just bawl. I'm not someone that actually cries easily, so I really narrowed it down to the books that went so far into breaking my heart that I actually did shed at least one tear, but let's be real, more. If you're someone that likes happy endings, this isn't the video for you. These just broke me for a reason. Let's start with the first book I can remember that broke my heart, just pull it out of my body, stepped on it, and just decided to light a fire on it. Just completely did not expect it. You know the type of book that you just remember hugging for a few minutes when you were done with it? Yeah, that type of book. Is Dark Materials Trilogy by Pullman. Oh my, as a child I did not expect to be this heartbroken. I can't remember how old I was whenever I read the last book, but just I know this is the first one that made me just completely lose it. Like, I was so not happy with that ending. But long story short, this is a YA fantasy trilogy about, you follow the main character, who's a female character, and she's a very strong person. She lives in a world where humans have a demon, which is kind of a animal form of part of your soul, basically. So you're always with them, you're like, they're your best friend, basically. And in the first book, some kids are being kidnapped and she's trying to figure out what is happening. And obviously it becomes more and more, and let me tell you, that ending in the last book, obviously I'm keeping that spoiler free, but I just remember being so angry at it, and it just, for once, I guess I read a book that wasn't that perfectly like finished ending with the little bow and stuff, and it just, till today, I'm just still angry at it. I recently reread this actually last year and still was just left feeling empty, and just, I'm still not okay with this. So I needed to absolutely mention this. I do want to recommend it also as an adult because, again, I reread it and so much went like way above my head as a kid. There's a lot about religion in here too, and it's just such an interesting and complex universe, magic system, and I feel like a lot of people would really enjoy it. There's also a TV show being made. I'm not sure exactly when it's coming out, but I will be watching this because we all cried a little bit whenever we saw the movie way back when. But you need to read this. It's amazing. So many amazing characters, and you're gonna cry, but it's worth it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's basically what this video should be called. You're gonna cry, but it's worth it. Speaking of which, I needed to mention this book. This is a classic, and I read this when I first started my booktube channel, and I had never read it. I feel like some people read it in school, and I went into it blind, and did not expect this. Did not expect to be this heartbroken for this. Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes, and I just knew there was, you know, a little mouse in this book, and I knew nothing else. But let me tell you what it is about, because I feel like it does help decide that you actually need to read this. You're following a main character who has a low IQ, and he decides to become part of an experiment that they did test on that little mouse, basically to increase his IQ. And you're following his journey as this person, you know, he has friends, he has a job, but he's not necessarily conscious of things that are happening to him, around him. And you're following his journey through, it's basically written as like reports, like a diary and everything. So his writing changes a lot. In the beginning, I did struggle. English is not my first language, so I was struggling a little bit in the beginning, but then he becomes more and more intelligent, obviously. And you're following his growth as a person, his realizations of like what his life was, how to just deal with all of it. And obviously I'm not going to spoil it once again, just to tell you that the ending, again, absolutely broke me. This is the type of book, it's fairly short. It's like 300 actually pages. There is a short story version, which I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know if it's worth going for the full book over that, but I do recommend it. It was really great. But let me tell you, you read this quick, you can't put it down, and the minute you're done, you feel empty and honestly just broken, and I just couldn't get over it for several days, and it just, you're not gonna know what to say when you're done. Except, no, not gonna spoil it, but like, wow. Could not recommend this more. I feel like sometimes classics, I'm like, you know, sure, they might have been important at a time, or there might still be things that are important in there, but they're not the books I would necessarily recommend to everyone. but this is definitely an exception. I think everyone can benefit from reading this and be heartbroken like I was. I could not do this video without talking about this because damn the feels, all the feels. Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I know this was made into a movie. I've yet to watch it. I feel like I'm so late with these things. I tend to like start with the book, but then when they break me, I don't really want to watch a movie right away because I can't deal, you know? Too many feels, can't deal with that. So, yeah, this book, I have the beautiful edition with pictures, which I do recommend getting your hands on if you can, or go to a library, they probably have it. And this book is about a teenage boy and his mom. His mom fell ill and he's struggling to deal with it. It comes out of nowhere for him and he's struggling to just know how to feel about it, dealing with illness, grief. This is also about love, life, and every night he is kind of haunted. There's someone visiting him and eventually, like, he has nightmares basically, and eventually he meets this humongous monster that is kind of a tree. Look how gorgeous that is. I'm not going to show you all the pictures obviously because you want to get surprised whenever you do get to it, but absolutely stunning. And this monsters kind of tells him a few different stories, kind of to help him through all of it. And you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but let me tell you, the tears are real. Again, I don't want to spoil it, but it's kind of obvious. You will be heartbroken. You will kind of resent having read this book, but at the same time, you will want to reread it. Not right after, but eventually, you know? So absolutely needed to recommend this book. It's like such a dark, but not like in a bad way. I mean, like, you know, like it's a lot of it happens throughout the night, and it's just something that's gonna stay with you for a long time. So absolutely recommend this. Again, prepare the Kleenex, but was worth it for sure. I feel now I need to actually go and watch a movie. Another book that I feel deserves more love. I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. Again, this is one of the first books that I've read when I started my booktube channel, and it's again something I feel the need to reread eventually. You're following two twins, a boy and a girl, and the story's told like back and forth, each chapter going back and forth between them, but when the story is told like 2 years before and then 2 years later, / the present, and the writing styles are very different. The writing style, generally speaking, is very artistic. They're both artistic characters, but some people absolutely hate it, and that's fine. It won't be for everyone, but I loved it. I feel like it really worked with the characters. You're gonna feel yourself kind of liking one character more than the other, but it might change towards the end. That's kind of what happened to me. And again, it's about twins, kind of the reason why they stopped talking to each other, so you kind of don't know throughout the book. You know, 2 years before they're like the best friends ever, and then 2 years later they don't talk to each other. So I don't want to again spoil it, but oh my, the feels at the end, I was just so heartbroken. And again, I did not expect it. It's a beautiful book. I highly recommend it, but it's something that will just, you're gonna want to hug this book when you're done, and just, you're gonna need a hug from someone, because I kind of want to reread it, but at the same time, I'm not sure I'm ready for it. But it's gonna happen, maybe next year. But I love this book. It deserves so much more hype. I feel like maybe it's because it's a bit older. On BookTube, people tend to focus on the newer books. Actually, it's backwards. Wow, okay. I let someone read it. I guess I put it back the wrong way. 2014. It's not even that old. What the hell? Read this book. It will break your heart, but you will love it, okay? Read it. One book that I don't have the physical copy of because I read it from my library, but I feel the need to actually go out of my way to get one, because I will reread this book and I will enjoy having my heart broken all over again. And it is The Seventh Husband of Evelyn Hugo. And oh my god, every time I talk about it, I just am like so sad, and like I love it so much, and it's just a weird mix to rave about something that hurts so much, you know what I mean? But this book, I went into it thinking it was like literary fiction, but it turns out it's more kind of chick lit, but kind of serious chick lit. If you're someone that like historical fiction / contemporary that will break your heart, you're probably gonna like this. I feel like this is a book that I would say like give it to your mom type of thing, but obviously I still enjoyed it a lot, and I feel like a lot of people would enjoy it. But long story short, you're following the story of a 80-year-old, I think, I don't remember the exact age, actress, and she was like an old Hollywood star, I think big glamour, I think like Marilyn Monroe type of thing, or Audrey Hepburn. And her story's told through her 7 husbands, and she never told her life story to anyone, and it's the first time she's doing it. And like I said, through her 7 husbands, you see her struggle. She feels like such a real person. She's not perfect at all. She's not pretending to be. And it just hurts to see her go through all of these things. And basically the end goal of her telling her life story for the first time is for a book to be written, but also just to share for the first time the who was your one true love between all of these people throughout your whole life. And it will break your freaking heart. Like, absolutely no way it won't be. I actually cried multiple times throughout this book. And again, I'm not someone that cries, but holy shit, this book just got to me. So again, I actually got it. I read it in 7 days because my library gives you the option of having like express books that you have 7 days to read them. And like I would have to like put it down once in a while, but at the same time I had 7 days, so I would just pick it back up right away to just finish it. And I need this book to actually become a movie. Like, actually need it to happen. So if you're looking for a book that you will love and that will destroy you to little pieces, you need to read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because my god, it just terrible in the best way possible. Loved it. Last but not least, I'm including these books together because they are both nonfiction about World War II. I mean, I feel like, can you even read any book about World War II without crying? I think not. So I wanted to mention Night by Elie Wiesel and Men's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. Those are 2 nonfiction books about their time in camps, and let's be real, like just saying that, you know where this is going. The 2 books are tiny, like they're very, very short, a very quick read, but they will just absolutely destroy every bit of your heart. Those are both books that I had to remind myself once in a while that those were actually true story. It's not fiction. Like, it just seems so terrible that you can't comprehend it. Like, you read it, it breaks you, but at the same time, you still have no idea what these people went through. Like, it's books that you just literally cannot describe. I highly recommend them. Again, I feel like this is a very important subject. Obviously, you need to know history to not let it happen again. And in this version also, this book, it's kind of like halfway what happened to him throughout concentration camps. But there's also like a second half that is about like kind of his philosophy of life and kind of explaining how, obviously men's search for meaning, kind of his theory of like how some people were able to survive through it all because they had something to live for, kind of a reason basically. And it's a very interesting concept. I feel like I'm probably going to need to like reread this a couple times to actually get it. It's definitely more complex, but both of these stories, again, will stick with you. And those are books, you know, I kept saying that I want to reread this. I'm not sure I actually even want to reread these. Not because they weren't good, because they were definitely amazing books, terrible stories. I don't know if I can take it. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good they were. So yeah, I do recommend them. Just be prepared. And again, I would be curious to see if I'm the only one, but honestly, I kept having to remind myself that this is actually what happened to them. This is so terrible. And honestly, I just can't describe them. Definitely recommend these books. Just be prepared mentally for it. So these were the 7 books that broke me the most in the last couple of years on BookTube. Those are all books that I would highly recommend you check out, but again, just be prepared. You might need someone or a dog or a cat to hug afterwards, because they just, yeah. I would be actually curious to know if anyone has read these, if you feel similarly. I'm sure you do. And let me know otherwise if you are planning on reading any of those. Just, again, be prepared, because damn. Again, I'm not someone that cries easily, but these easily made me cry. I hope you enjoyed this video. I feel like I keep mentioning all the feels and it's kind of almost a bit negative, but I feel like sometimes you're in need of a good cry, and these books are definitely stories that are worth reading in my opinion. So I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and to subscribe, because you definitely don't want to miss any future videos. Don't forget to also check out the videos I will be putting on the screen. I recommend you do so, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.